story from the Globe and Mail yesterday. Here's how it looked in the printed version. You can see right there, RCMP considered whether to charge PM over Aga Khan trip. Police ultimately decided rules were unclear about Trudeau's ability to approve his own vacation. The RCMP considered charging Justin Trudeau with fraud over a family vacation at the Aga Khan's private island in the Bahamas, but decided against doing so because it was unclear if the Prime Minister had the authority to approve the all-expenses-paid gift for himself. Oh, so I guess if it's unclear, better let him get away with it then, right? Now, that's what the headline in the story looked like at first, but I see this happening a lot, especially with news media that take money from Justin Trudeau. The original headline is changed, at least online, if it can't be changed in the print edition that has already gone out the door. And since most people read the online version these days, it's like the original never existed. So here's what that headline and that same story looks like now if you go to the Globe and Mail website. Headline's different. Trudeau faces backlash in-house over inquiry into Aga Khan trip. So the news isn't anymore that Trudeau is facing criminal charges. It's not even mentioned in the headline. No. Now the news is that there's some awful backlash by those lashing back conservatives. They're always lashing out, aren't they? And here's the first sentence in the story. Now, the Liberal government sidestepped opposition questions about an RCMP inquiry into Justin Trudeau's family vacation at the Aga Khan's Bahamian retreat, saying on Monday that the country faces more important issues than the Prime Minister's past ethical conduct. Oh, so the headline is those lashing out conservatives, and the first sentence is no longer the news. The accusation, the facts that the RCMP were considering charging Trudeau with fraud, the first sentence is now his excuse. There are more important things to talk about. Well, look, the Globe and Mail is owned by Canada's richest oligarchs, the Thompson family, but you don't get to be that rich by letting free money slip through your fingers. I mean, $1 billion here, $1 billion there really adds up. So the Globe and Mail takes tens of millions of dollars in newspaper bailout money from Trudeau, extracted from working-class Canadian taxpayers who have no use for that snobby newspaper other than to line their birdcage. But what it does is it makes the Globe and Mail, like the rest of the bailout media, very sensitive to hurting Trudeau's feelings. There's no doubt in my mind that the PMO called up the Globe and had them change the headline and change the lead in that story to soften it for the boss being Trudeau. It's true that Conservatives did lash back, but pretty mildly. Here's a clip of the exchange in question period.
Mr. Speaker, we're talking about the RCMP here, not the Ethics Commissioner. Newly released documents from the RCMP reveal there may be reasonable grounds to believe that the Prime Minister committed the offence of fraud on the government contrary to Section 121(1)(c) of the Criminal Code. Now, this was after the Prime Minister was found guilty of accepting luxurious Bahamian vacations worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Mounties didn't proceed with charging the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister may have granted himself a get-out-of-jail-free card. So did the Prime Minister give himself the power to break the law?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, there was 5 years ago a report that was done by the Ethics Commissioner. That report made all of the matters clear. The Prime Minister responded appropriately. But again, Mr. Speaker, I will say I understand that the party opposite wants to drag in partisan politics and play games. But I would say there are a lot of pressing issues facing this country. We just had a budget table that takes critical action on housing and Indigenous reconciliation and the environment. And I would think those are important questions to be asking about, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Not very lashing, to be honest. Now, you might remember that Trudeau and his gold digger wife, Sophie, wanted to party in the Bahamas like some, reality TV stars or something, like rock stars, but they certainly didn't want to pay for it themselves, even though they have the money. So Trudeau asked the billionaire named the Aga Khan, the leader of the Ismaili Muslim community, to use his private Bahamian island for free. That's at least a $200,000 vacation. And Trudeau kept it a secret. Here's how the Globe puts it, a bit lower down in the story. Mr. Trudeau and his family went to the Aga Khan's private island at Christmas 2016, even though the Ismaili Muslim leader had millions of dollars in dealings with the federal government. In In 2017, then Ethics Commissioner Mary Dawson found he violated the Conflict of Interest Act by accepting the vacation because of continuing official business between the government and the Aga Khan. The Aga Khan Foundation in Canada has received nearly $330 million from the federal government since 1981, and that's the problem. Justin Trudeau and the Aga Khan weren't really friends. The Aga Khan was friends with Trudeau's dad, Pierre Trudeau. Well, look, so many of Justin Trudeau's friends are just friends he inherited from his dad. It's just that this friend, the Aga Khan, also gets hundreds of millions of dollars from the Canadian government, so it would have been weird to receive this greedy personal phone call out of the blue demanding a secret luxury holiday for Trudeau and his family and his friends. It wasn't just Trudeau himself. He brought the whole team. But if you're asking the government of Canada for hundreds of millions of dollars in grants, you bet you're going to give the greedy prime minister whatever personal loot bag he wants. I mean, what's the rate of return on that investment? So you have to really clean out the hot tub afterwards and restock the liquor cabinet. But you're pretty sure you're going to get your next $330 million check in the mail. That's good business. $333 billion? But that's illegal. Pretty obvious. I mean, don't take my word for it. The Ethics Commissioner investigated and convicted Trudeau of breaking the Conflict of Interest Act. The penalty, though, a $500 fine. I'm serious. You can find that report online. It's called The Trudeau Report, published by the Ethics Commissioner, who had a trial on the matter. But when you fine a man 500 smackers for taking a free $200,000 vacation, you're not exactly making it a deterrent, are you? So guess what? There's a Trudeau Report, Book 2. He was convicted again. And guess what? There's a Trudeau Report, Book 3. I'm not even kidding. He's being convicted again and fined again. Trudeau has broken the Conflict of Interest Act more than all other prime ministers combined because he's, in fact, the only one to ever violate the act even once. But he really doesn't care what judges or courts say. I mean, that's for the little people. That was an excerpt from my daily TV-style show called The Ezra Levant Show. Each weekday, I do a monologue on the news of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest. I read some fan mail or hate mail, depends on which I like more. And we end with a video of the day. You can get it all at rebelnewsplus.com.